Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at this old Kyocera 6035 smartphone. Now, you might not think this looks like a smartphone, probably because you think a smartphone looks like something like this, and you're not wrong. Though this particular smartphone, the iPhone 3GS, was released in 2009. The original iPhone, which looks very similar to this, just with a metal back, was released in 2007. When was this released? It was released in 2001. Now, let's just look at the thing. This is the main phone, and you can hit this little button on the side, and you can turn it up and down depending on where you want to go, and we can look at a bunch of stuff here. Let me get a close-up. Now, you have your phone info, contact, recent calls, settings, voice memo, messages, and that's it. The voice memos, you can record a new voice memo.
Please record at the tone.
Hello, this is a test of the Kyocera 6035 voice memos. And now we can play that back.
Hello, this is a test of the Kyocera 6035 voice memo.
It sounds horrible, but it was released in 2001, 6 years before the original iPhone. Now, what makes this a smartphone? Because it just looks like a regular phone. You could get these for years. Well, if you move down this flap, you notice that it's got a screen. And it's got a stylus stored in the back so that you can navigate around. And it's got a few apps like a calculator. Let's just make sure it can do calculations right. It can. You've got a browser which sadly doesn't work because this doesn't have a SIM card in it. Nope, I want to go home. And you've got another browser, I think. Eudora software from Qualcomm. This does have a Qualcomm processor in it. A CDMA processor. It's not a processor, it's just a signal interpreter. And you've got a lot of phone-related functions, of course. You've got an address book, of course. You've got a call history, of course. And you've got a dialer. So this is basically exactly the same as this, just in fact, the UIs look insanely similar. Let's see. See, the time and the Sprint PCS doesn't move around. The only thing that disappears is the menu and November 4th. The date. But there's this little keyboard down here, which is how you type things. It's got a number section and a letter section, and you sort of write letters similar to how you would and with handwriting, just slightly modified. So why do we even need all these buttons up here? Well, we don't. You can just hit this and it'll hide those. And you may notice this thing is up now. And that is because it's just the same thing as this, just when you close this, all those little icons down there disappear. So, I find that really neat. Now, of course, you have more things. You have Hot Sync, which will allow you to sync it with a computer using this dock. And you just sort of slide it on. It starts charging. You can put the stylus right here. And you can push this button to start syncing. And it's not connected to a computer right now, but it does connect through RS-232 serial. And I have quite a few computers with those, and I might do a follow-up, a part 2, where I sync it to a computer and do a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, we're just going to cancel that. But in case you don't want to lug around this whole dock with you, you can just take this cable and unplug it. And just plug that straight into the bottom there. And it'll start charging. Now, of course, I don't plan on taking this anywhere with me, so I'm just going to leave it with the dock. And it has a really long battery life, I'm pretty sure, even though this battery is insanely old. And speaking of the dock, actually, not only can you charge the phone right there, but you can charge a second battery in the back here. So you can have a backup battery, because most phones, except for, of course, the iPhone, had replaceable batteries. In fact, even after the iPhone came out, see, the iPhone, you can't just remove the back and replace the battery. However, on this, you can. I just hit some buttons. But I have two examples of phones. We have this HTC, probably out around the same time as this one. It's about the same size. And if you slide, it's this panel on the side, actually, I think. Oh, you just pop your fingernail in there and just pop that off. Come on. I didn't say it had to be easy. You can just... And there you go. Battery. Of course, you can just slide that right back in. And if you have a replacement one, you could slide in your replacement one if that battery dies. Really convenient. iPhone didn't have that. And I have this S2, which is even easier. You just sort of get your finger up there. Bam. Bam. Battery. This isn't even the original. It says Rayovac on it. Anyways, you can just slot your new battery in and just sort of put it in. Whereas on this one, not so much. If your battery dies, you gotta plug it back in. I'm sorry, dude. This one's probably the easiest, while not being like just a plastic back that just can fall off easily. But what functions do you get on this compared to the original iPhone that was released 6 years later? Well, I'm going to use this phone as a demonstration because I don't have an original iPhone, and I'm not going to buy one. Not now, at least. With this, you can't do much other than take calls and some other things. Where did I put the stylus? It's right here. Okay. It's, as you can tell, if I tilt the camera down, a lot smaller. It's about, I'd say, about half the thickness. And let's look at some of the main features. You got messages. We're only going to go through the features the original iPhone had. And on this one, after using the stylus, you can get to messages. Easy. Wait a second. This is different. That's a voicemail. It does not actually have a messaging function, like an instant messaging, SMS messaging. And of course, soon enough, iOS gets iMessaging. The rest is history. Anyways, you've got a calendar on here. You have a date book on here, which is basically the same thing, except, of course, you know what, we've gotten ahead of ourselves. Let's look at the main features. I would show you this has a backlight. There's a backlight button up here, but it's broken. That's probably going to be a part of part 2 or part 3 maybe, who knows. So it doesn't really work. Whereas you don't need a backlight, and it reflects really nice, and also you can touch it with your finger. It's not the most convenient thing. See, I touched 12 there easily. But this one, of course, has a color screen. This one has a bunch of buttons and some more buttons and some extra buttons and some buttons. And, of course, we can use this to type, like an A or a B. Or you can tap this little dot here and have an on-screen keyboard, but that just takes up half the screen. And, in fact, it opens up a little text editing menu. It doesn't even want to let you see what's behind it. But, on here, we have a much larger screen. Much larger as in a taller screen. And it's a lot lighter, too. It doesn't have a silly antenna. And it only has the home button. And of course, it has the Apple dock connector that they used forever. Whereas this one has their own proprietary connector. Actually, it might be the standard for Palm-OS devices. Who knows? Oh yeah, has a button on the side too. This one, of course, is a lot simpler. You can't take the battery out, which is simpler. It has a much better UI. It's got rubber banding. That's nice. You ain't getting any rubber banding on that. You can go into list view, day view, month view. It's all really nice. And just want to go home, instead of hitting this little home button there, you hit this home button. And let's look at another thing. Photos. The original one did have a photo taking ability. This one does not have the ability to take photos. Of course, it's a black and white screen. So you can look at your photos, and of course you've got camera too, so you can take pictures. There's only a rear-facing camera. There is no front-facing camera or selfie cam for some reason, because a lot of phones before then had it, but as you can see, it just takes pictures. Not the worst quality. I've definitely seen worse, and it's better than not having one. Also, this one can, of course, take screenshots. And let's see, it can do videos and music, two things this one can't do. But, of course, on the original iPhone, those were combined into one iPod app. I don't have any music on here. This one can give you directions. We're not gonna show my location. This one can give you the weather, also not gonna show my location. I said no. Alright. There was a weather app on the original iPhone, I think. This one can do a clock, of course. This one has that clock in the corner. Oop. That's about it, but this one has so many more features for its clock, of course. It has Game Center, which I don't think existed. Newsstand, don't think existed. iTunes, App Store. Here's where this one pulls ahead by a little bit. You could get apps on this. You had to hook it up to a computer. But on the iPhone, the original iPhone, without jailbreaking it, you couldn't get apps. There was no App Store. Of course, that's the whole original reason of jailbreaking, was to get an App Store. And you've got settings, of course. Now we're just going to quickly open up settings. It's harder to navigate with just black and white icons, which are just circles with an icon sort of sticking out of them. Now we're going to do... I need to get that size back out. So we're just going to size comparison. In normal mode, this one's still a lot shorter. A lot as in maybe 3/4 of an inch. When you extend the head, we're not going to include that. But of course that extends it a lot. But when you're in smartphone mode, it's like half. See? So like, we've got this whole flap hanging down. Now we're going to do a comparison of which one can get to the home screen first. It probably isn't a fair comparison, but we're just going to do it anyways. And also, this is the iPhone 3GS. S stands for speed, according to Phil Schiller. Now we're just going to hit the home button on both at the same time. This one got to the home screen first. This one exited the app, but it didn't show the home screen. Anyways, that's gonna be it for now. It's been about 20-minute video. I don't have the capability to edit right now, really. And I really hope this video saves, because my camera didn't want to earlier. And also, another feature, this one can record video, so who wouldn't want to record video? So, that's about it for now. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you liked it a lot, you could subscribe and then turn on notifications if you want to see the sequel to this, which there probably will be one. And here we go. Oh. Well, that was a very short video. Anyways, bye.